Hi all, thank you for giving us the opportunity to present on SOOS, the Southern Ocean Observing System. This presentation will provide different information to our annual report that we submitted to SCORE. This is for a few reasons. Firstly, it keeps it interesting for you. Secondly, the annual report we submitted was just for 2019, whereas here I am also going to highlight a few more recent activities as well. And also the annual report provided a lot of detail on our working groups and committees, but I don't have time to go into that in this presentation, so I will just give a few examples and highlights. I will also briefly mention some new initiatives and efforts that we will be engaged in over the coming years. Firstly, it is important to acknowledge the core sponsorship for SOOS that enables us to deliver everything that you will hear about. I would like to thank our long-term core funders, the Australian Antarctic Gateway Partnership and the University of Tasmania. Our Gateway sponsorship ended in 2019 with the end of the Gateway project, but their support was vital in ensuring the continuation of core SOOS services. Our core sponsorship changed in 2020 with the start of the 3-year agreement for hosting the office between the University of Tasmania, the Tasmanian State Government and the CSIRO. And this has been tremendous in providing funding stability. Additionally, our new 3-year collaboration with the Swedish Polar Research Secretariat, which grew out of our sponsorship by the University of Gothenburg, has also made a significant difference to SOOS operations. These, combined with the continuation of our other sponsorship agreements, have enabled us to hire a Science and Communications Officer for the first time. At this stage, only on a part-time, short-term basis, but this has fundamentally shifted our ability to support, deliver and communicate. The key to this new sponsorship is that it is multiple year rather than annual agreements, and so we've been able to look forward and use the finances more strategically than we have in the past. So in looking at the achievements of the last 2 years, I would like to thank these past and present sponsors. The last 2 years have been very productive for SOOS. In total, we have published 16 scientific papers, produced 10 newsletters that were sent to nearly 500 subscribers, presented 7 posters, produced 13 reports, including to the Antarctic Treaty, published outputs in GitHub, produced 2 recorded presentations, organised and held 17 SOOS events, as well as presented at 13 community meetings and had SOOS representation at another 25 community events. And we have endorsed 9 successful proposals for field projects. Additionally, in the last 2 years, we have developed and released our new website and undertaken an enormous update to our people, product and events database using the software Airtable, both of which were not previously possible without the new Science and Communications Officer position in the office. We have built up a strong network of community-driven working groups, many of which contribute significantly to the metrics I just mentioned on the previous slides. There is a lot more information on these working group activities and outputs in the annual report. Our regional working groups are now fully developed, with the Weddell Sea and the Amundsen Sea groups developing in 2019. Combined, these groups provide us with circumpolar coverage of all nations and efforts to observe the Southern Ocean. For the next 5 years, these groups will focus on developing an understanding of observational requirements, coverage, and priority gaps for their communities to work to address. Our capability working groups and task teams are the mechanisms we use to drive forward efforts to enhance our ability to collect and deliver observational data. For example, through developing new methods, building networks, sharing knowledge, or improving observing system design. All of the capability working groups have completed their initial 5 years and are currently preparing proposals for delivering the next 5 years of priorities. Just to give a couple of highlights of SOOS working group achievements over the last 2 years. The Flux Moorings Task Team has produced a fantastic paper identifying the optimal placement of moorings in the Southern Ocean to constrain large-scale air-sea fluxes. This was a joint effort of 2 of our working groups, SOFlux, Southern Ocean Fluxes, and OSD, Observing System Design, and was supported by the State Oceanic Administration in China with a postdoc, Yang Jiao Wei. This project was developed to help inform discussions on the potential for a circumpolar ring of moorings in the Southern Ocean. An additional output is that Matt Masloff also recently presented this paper at the Ocean Sites meeting, and you can listen to it at the YouTube link provided. Another key highlight for SOOS was the community contribution to OceanOBS 19. This community paper reflected on key achievements and knowledge gained over the last decade and outlined priorities for the coming decade, and I encourage anyone who'd like to know more on SOOS and the details of our priorities to download this paper. Another working group output to highlight is the fantastic use of citizen science by our CAPS working group, censusing animal populations from space. This effort was to determine the global population of Weddell seals through a combination of satellite imagery and the online platform TomNod. Now again, I encourage anyone who's interested to find out more about this great citizen science effort to download this paper. In addition to building networks and communities, SOOS developed tools and products to support discovery and delivery of data or support collaborative efforts. SOOS Map is a major achievement of SOOS from the last few years. It is delivered for SOOS by the European Marine Observation and Data Network, or EMODNet, and I can honestly say that what they provide in kind for us is astounding and has been an absolute fundamental game changer for SOOS. In addition to the data that EMODNet deliver directly from JCOMOPS, such as Argo floats, marine mammals and drifting buoys, SOOS has worked with our community to aggregate data and make them available through SOOS Map. One example is the SOOS mooring network of over 800 moorings, or the sea ice core chlorophyll data. A really key thing to note here is that this tool is being used very widely, with an average of 8,000 views per month, 2,500 real-time data downloads per month, and 11 downloads per month of the long-term archived data files. Another key achievement in SOOS Map is the work that SOOS did to engage and connect the Pangaea data repository to EMODNet. This has increased the number of CTD casts from 5,000 to 18,000. Due South is another tool that SOOS has developed for the community. It is the database of upcoming expeditions to the Southern Ocean and was developed for SOOS by the Australian Antarctic Data Centre. This database currently provides information on upcoming expeditions and voyages from national Antarctic programs, which is provided to us by ComNap, upcoming fishing activities provided to us by CAMELAR, and will soon also provide information on upcoming tourist voyages and flights to be provided by IATO. Over the last 2 years, we have had a number of challenges, the most serious of which is that the Australian Antarctic Data Centre can no longer provide support for Due South. However, I am now happy to report that the European Polar Board is excited to become the new hosts of Due South and will provide the coding support to keep it functional for SOOS and the community into the future. As with other programs, SOOS is not immune to the impacts of COVID. It has obviously impacted the way that we deliver our networks, for example, and we are working with our working groups and communities to support them in delivering the networks virtually. We are also running a risk analysis over SOOS to identify any potential risks to our operations in the future, for example, funding of the SOOS Project Office beyond 2022. And also, COVID is significantly impacting the upcoming field season for all nations, and it is yet unknown how this will play out over the next few years and the impact that this might have on sustained observing. In the short term, SOOS will be holding a virtual scientific steering committee at the end of October in place of our planned in-person meeting in 2020. These meetings will focus on 4 topics. There will be 4 3-hour meetings, and we will run each one twice across 2 separate time zones to ensure engagement of all our committee members and community. The preparation and implementation of these virtual meetings is significantly more than for an in-person meeting, but we are hopeful that it will be successful. To finish, there are some important current and future activities that SOOS is working on that are worth highlighting. The current 5-year implementation plan for SOOS finishes at the end of this year. Additionally, the original SOOS Science Plan is nearly 10 years old and needs updating. These two things combined mean that SOOS is currently drafting a new 5-year plan that will be a combined science and implementation plan. It will build on the implementation activities that we have developed over the last 5 years and look towards what we need to deliver next in order to achieve our mission. At the same time, it will integrate the original science plan with the new priorities that were identified in the SOOS OceanObs 19 publication and deliver a clear overview of SOOS's scientific domain. The end of the current 5-year plan also means we now have 5 years' worth of activities to report on. In early 2021, SOOS will be preparing a comprehensive report on SOOS's activities and their impact both scientifically and societally. And the final thing that I wanted to highlight is the actions that SOOS has been taking towards development of a Southern Ocean community contribution to the UN decade. SOOS has played an important role in leading the community to engage and plan for a regional contribution. There are a number of actions that we have taken, and I have shown them here, and we will continue to move forward with these plans, in particular at our upcoming Scientific Steering Committee meeting, where we will discuss specifics of SOOS efforts for the decade and how to ensure its visibility in details of our next implementation plan. Thank you.